Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about some of my most anticipated releases of 2018. I have quite a list here, so I'm going to go pretty fast. There's 20 books on this list and one honorable mention. So my one honorable mention is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This is a plus-size lady on the cover. It follows a side character from Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which I have not read. That's why it's an honorable mention. But it releases on April 24th. So I wanted to go ahead and mention that before I dive into my 20 books that I really am looking forward to. Again, I am really looking forward to this book. I just have a book to read before it. It's not one that I'm like ready to read right now. You know what I'm saying? But plus-size lady on the cover, and I've heard great things about Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, so I need to pick that up and read that, and then I will follow with Leah on the Offbeat. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump into my books. I'm going to do my best to try to keep them like in monthly order. The first, we'll go ahead and start off with January. So January 2nd, Meet Cute. It's a YA anthology about love stories and how people are destined to meet. On January 2nd, Saga Volume 8 by Brian K. Vaughan. This is a comic series that I have been reading and following along with and loving, so I'm really looking forward to that one. Then on January 9th, Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna McGuire releases. This is the third and possibly final book in the Wayward Children series. Love this series. I've read books 1 and 2, rated them both 5 stars, so I'm expecting this to be another 5-star read. Also on January 9th, we have the second book, the follow-up book to The Graces by Lori Evie, and is called The Curses. And that story just had like a little bit of witchcraft, a little bit of magic, and I loved the characters, so I'm looking forward to this follow-up. The next book that releases in January, it comes out on January 30th, is called This Is Not a Love Letter by Kim Purcell. So there's a couple, and the boyfriend, Chris, wants to take a 1-week break to get perspective before graduation. During that time, he goes missing, and he used to write all these love letters to his girlfriend like every day or every week or something like that. But Chris is one of the only black kids in this small, depressed paper mill town. So he goes missing, and the girlfriend is thinking this may be related to an incident that happened like previously in the town. Like I said, him being the only, like one of the few black kids, I'm sure it has something to do with race and stuff like that. So I want to pick this up because it features like people of color in this like predominantly white town, and I just want to see where this goes. But it's also like that thriller mystery aspect as well. The next one that releases on January 30th is The Dangerous Art of Blending In by Angelos Morales, and this main character has a Greek mother and a quiet workaholic father. His mother is kind of like abusive mentally. I'm not sure or not if physical abuse is involved, but he has this budding relationship with his best friend Henry. He like goes to church and he like draws and stuff like that, but the abuse from his mother is intensifying, it's escalating, and he's trying to, you know, find how he feels about his friend Henry. So it just sounds like it's kind of dealing with a lot of stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it. So those are all of the January releases. Let's jump into February. The first one that I have on my list, I have this whole little like spreadsheet so I can keep track of it. It's the only way I could think to do it. February 6th, Winterfolk comes out, and it's a debut by Janelle Colby. It's about a homeless teenager living with her father in the woods outside Seattle. And in this part of the woods, there's like a whole community of these homeless people, but then I think the town of Seattle wants to like cut down this portion of the woods, so they're having to like integrate into the city of Seattle, and it just sounds so interesting. The next one comes out on February 27th. That's I Stopped Somewhere by T.E. Carter. All I know is that it's a debut and it discusses rape culture, and check out that cover. I am totally crushing on that cover. The next one comes out on February 27th as well, and that is an anthology from 17 YA authors across the queer spectrum, and it's called All Out. And this one sounds so cool because it kind of combines like these queer stories with historical elements. The tagline is the no longer secret stories of queer teens throughout the ages. So they take these really popular like moments in history, and they add in like some character from the queer spectrum. One is a war-torn 1870s Mexico, a trans soldier, and another moment is two girls falling in love while mourning the death of Kurt Cobain. So I think it's going to take some really cool like moments in history and then add in these marginalized characters, and I'm just here for it. Those are all of the February releases. Let's go on to March. I'll start March off on March 26th with In Search of Us by Ava DeLaria. This is the same author that wrote Love Letters to the Dead, and I did enjoy that book, so I'm hoping to love this one as well. This tells the parallel story of a mother-daughter parallel story when they're both at the age of 17. So we get to see what the mom went through at 17. Now we're getting to see what the daughter goes through at 17. So that sounds really cool. The next one releases on March 27th, and that is In Her Skin by Kim Savage. I did read Kim Savage's first two book releases, and I really did enjoy them, so I'm hoping to love this one too. The story reminds me, or the synopsis reminds me of the story Here Lies Daniel Tate, which I read and loved. I gave it 5 stars, except for in this one, it's the main character is a female named Jo, and she's a con artist living in Boston that impersonates like a missing daughter from a family, and she kind of goes through the same thing. So I'm interested to see how they're similar and how they're different, and like what happens, you know, because I really enjoyed Here Lies Daniel Tate. Now let's move into May. On May 29th, Legendary, the second book in the Caraval series comes out. This one follows Scarlett's younger sister Tella on a journey to the Empire's capital to fulfill a dangerous bargain. So really looking forward to this. I loved Caraval because at that point I hadn't read Night Circus. I never heard anybody like refer to it as like relating to the Night Circus, and now having read both books, I just think that they're so entirely different that I don't know how they would ever be compared. But I loved Caraval, and I'm really looking forward to Legendary. Also, let's see if there's any other May. Oh, on May 1st, Ride On, which is Gwen Cole's second book, comes out, and it's about two teens who cross paths when the odds are against them. It looks to be like a Western book. Not really sure, but that sounds pretty good, and I want to support that author because she's like a semi-localish author. So that is all for May. Let's move on to June. June 5th, Save the Date by Morgan Matson comes out. I love reading Morgan Matson books. They're contemporary stories. They usually have romance involved. I have all of her books on my shelf. I'm just going to continue with the Morgan Matson bandwagon. Also on the 5th, Fat Girl on a Plane by Kelly DeVos comes out. It's a debut. It has 2 different timelines going on, one when the main character is fat, one when the main character is skinny, and it talks about smart fashion, pursuing dreams, and loving yourself. Also, again, plus size lady on the cover, even though it's a silhouette, I'll take it. Also on June 5th, Always Forever Maybe, and this is by Amica McRose Reese, and this is about a girl that works in a candy shop, and her and her best friend have basically like told each other everything. She meets this guy named Aiden, and now she starts keeping secrets from her best friend. So, I wonder what she's having to keep a secret. You know what I'm saying? So, that looks pretty good. On June 19th, Providence by Caroline Kepnes comes out. This is the author of the popular book You. So, it's an adult fiction thriller, and it sounds really cool. It's the obsessive nature of love when intensifying relationship between best friends is interrupted by kidnapping. I mean, sounds so good. And again, the cover is so pretty. So I believe those are all of the June releases. Yeah, those are all of June. So now let's move on to July. July 31st, The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas comes out, and that is the author of Little Monsters. Now, I wouldn't say that I loved Little Monsters, but it was so atmospheric and so interesting and different. So I'm really hoping that she does this one well. I hope she really sets the tone, and I think she will. But basically the story is about a whole bunch of cheerleaders. Like, I think like 2 get like in an accident and die, 2 get killed off by this neighbor, but then the neighbor gets shot, and like all these cheerleaders just keep going missing. So then they like disband the cheerleaders, and then like several years later, like, you know, all this stuff starts happening. So that sounds really good. Also on July 17th, All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover comes out. It's about perfect love threatened by an imperfect marriage. I like Colleen Hoover. There have been books of hers that I've liked more than others, but I'm going to pick up anything she writes. And the last book on this list comes out on August 28th, so it's my latest one, and it's called Toil and Trouble, and it's edited by Tess Sharp, but it's a YA anthology with a variety of genres from like historical fiction to contemporary to fantasy, all of that, dealing with women and witchcraft. Sounds so interesting. I believe this is one of the anthologies that I don't know that many authors from, so I think it will be interesting to read like all of these new authors, but I do have like 3 anthologies on this list. I have a couple of like adult books, and then I have a lot of YA. So yeah, those are the books that I'm super excited for in 2018. Let me know if any of these books are on your most anticipated list. Let me just glance over my list and make sure. Yes, I believe that is all on my list of anticipated books. So like I said, let me know if you have any favorites that I did not mention, and I will look into them. But that's all for today's video. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're all having a lovely day. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!